What up, people? It's your boy, the house with the mouse. I do not brag or boast, and I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dom One, the official place where you can get all your entertainment needs wrapped under a pretty bow. Rate, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend, family, as well as a follower. Let's get this YouTube channel lit in the YouTube algorithm. You heard me? What up, people? I hope y'all been enjoying these live streams, story time live streams. I really do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart that y'all are coming in droves listening to these stories. Hope you can learn a lot from these stories. Hope you can get a laugh or two, a chuckle or two from these stories. So, without further ado, let's get into our story time based on a true story. Okay? So I'm gonna tell you the time that a cousin of mine from Macon, Georgia, came all the way here from Nashville, Tennessee, to have a good time. He wanted to have a good time in the worst way. All right. So, peep this. So, I'm just minding my brother was saying like, hey, yo, our cousin from Macon is going to visit us for a few days, and he wants us to show him around, show him the city and all that jazz. All right. Now, for those who are not familiar with Macon, Georgia, I'm gonna be honest with you. Macon, Georgia is a small town. Okay. Nashville is a big city. I know it's not a big city to a lot of you people, particularly if you live in New York City or if you live in Los Angeles or whatever the case may be. But Nashville is a very, very big city. And it's always been a city of growth. Everyone from all parts all over the world moved to Nashville. Okay. So he wanted to get familiar with Nashville, Tennessee. So I said, okay, cool. So when he's coming, he said he should be on his ways. If not Thursday, he definitely going to be in his face is definitely going to be in the place at least by Friday night. Okay, so I said, cool. So my cousin from Macon finally makes it. It was like Friday afternoon, and Friday afternoon. So my brother was telling me, make sure that we have some place for him to go, because I'm thinking that he wants to show him the city and show him a few spots around Friday and Saturday. He was going to make it a 3-day weekend because he was going to go back to Macon Monday. I said, cool. So I called a few people, and I got some things on the register that we can go and hang out and things like that. Hey, Holly, how you doing, Holly? How you doing, Holly? Okay. So like I said, he came in. I mean, he finally pulled up. He started talking with the family. Now, my cousin is on my mama's side. So, obviously, him and my mama had a lot of catching up to do. Now, my father was not down with anybody on my mama's side. Now, at that particular time, I didn't know why my dad was tripping about any relatives on my mama's side, until I got familiar with the history of my family members on my mama's side, okay? So he was, as he was, talking to my mom, my father, is telling him, hey, so you're only going to be here for the weekend. You're gonna leave Sunday, right? And of course, he's checking in with my father. Say, yeah, I'm gonna leave Friday, because my father and my cousin do not get along. I don't know why they didn't get along at that time, but now I do know why they don't get along. But at that particular time, I didn't know they did not get along, okay? So after he, started talking to my mom, he started walking over there to me and my brother. So he said, yeah, your brother was telling me that, a few spots I can hang out at and things of that nature. I heard that you're a party guy. You like to hang out and chill. You know where the hot spots are. I said, I know a few spots, and I got a few spots lined up for you. So If you want to rest up and, take a shower, rest up, eat, we can start going out this evening. He said, okay, cool. So he was all aboard on wanting his first night to be hanging out with spots. And I already had things lined up for him. Okay. So my brother was saying, hey, make sure that, he wanted to make a big impression with my cousin because, like I said, my cousin is from Macon, Georgia, and he wanted my cousin to have a story to tell before he has to get back on the road, drive back to Macon, Georgia. Okay? So I said, I'm not going to disappoint. I promise you. Okay? So I say like around 8, 9 o'clock. I'm going to say it was really more closer to 10 o'clock, but I'm going to say about 9:30, 9:40. I'm ready. My brother was ready, and my cousin was ready from Macon. So I said, okay. I said, just make sure that you have a little money on you, because I don't know what you are trying to get into. And he said, I'm trying to get into some cheeks. Okay, I'm thinking that he's being funny because I'm thinking realistically. Look, homie, like you came from Macon. I'm pretty sure you just want to hang out, get a drink in you, be around a bunch of females. If the possibility ever arrive as far as you squeezing into some cheeks, okay, then it'll happen. But if it don't happen, it don't happen. As long as you have a good time, you having a good time. That's what I was assuming, okay? So I took him to a party. One of my friends was going to have like a get together, have a little party. It was going to be him, a couple of his friends, and a bunch of females. All right, so we drive over there. I'm introducing my cousin to my friend. We're up here talking. Everybody's laid back. The vibe was chilling. It's just socializing, drinking, things of that sort, okay? Nothing major. Nobody wasn't doing no heavy drugs or smoking weed or anything like that. Everybody was just in the ambiance of, socializing, okay? So I'm thinking, all right, he should be happy that I took him to this spot. He's feeling good. My brother's feeling good. I'm feeling good, all right? So 40 minutes into the party, I start hearing a loud commotion, okay? And then it started getting louder, and I started hearing my cousin from Macon, yelling at things, yelling at somebody, yelling at some other guy. So I walk over there, okay, and my cousin was arguing with some guy that knew my friend that had this party, and apparently it was a big what to do. I guess my cousin was getting a little frisky with one of the females, but he did not know that the female was in a relationship with this guy. So everybody gotten kind of upset about that, and from that point, I just thought he just got frisky. Maybe he put his hands on her, touching her or something like that, and he probably just didn't know that she was in a relationship with somebody else. Okay, that's what I assumed, all right? So my friend was telling me, hey, man, I like you, Chris, you cool. I ain't got no issues with you, Chris, but, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to ask that, you take your cousin because I don't think this, is going to work. All right. I don't blame him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even tripping about it. I'm like, okay, cool. Okay. So we all, I'm saying bye to everybody. My brother saying bye to everybody. My cousin just goes straight out the door, goes straight to his car, his van. He had a van. All right. So we hop into the van and then we drive off. So my cousin going like, yeah, man, that was a bad, I just wasn't feeling that. I was expecting something else, and then he's explaining to me what the blow up was about. Apparently, he got close to this girl. He started talking to her. He thought, he just read the room wrong, basically. He thought that the girl was into her. And then he started touching on her. Then next thing I know, she wasn't feeling it. And then her boyfriend saw it, and he definitely wasn't feeling it. And then that's how it went down. All right. Could be an honest mistake, maybe. But, I'm just telling my cousin, I'm like, yo, man, I don't know how y'all do things in Macon, but here, man, you just can't just be putting your hands on no female, no matter, if, she's feeling you or you feeling her, you got to respect her space, and, things of that nature. Then all of a sudden, he makes this weird saying like, that she ain't nothing but a hoe, she's a bee, she's all this, okay? I'm going like, man, you just met the girl. I mean, how you know she's like that? You dig what I'm saying? But like I said, I chalked it up to he didn't read the room well. He just didn't, read her very well. So he's, in the van. He's a little salty. He's a little heated. I said, okay. He said, well, where else can we go? Because I definitely don't want to end the night on a bad note. The night's young. We haven't even been out that long. Okay, I said, no problem, bro. No problem. I know another spot. Okay. He said, it better be some, So I'm asking him. I'm like, yo, what are you looking for? Are you looking for like a party where you can just chill out and drink and hang with some females? No, he wants, he wants a little ratchetness. He wants to, he wants a stripper type evening. I said, never fear. I'm Krista Don One is here. I said, I know of a strip club. Now, this strip club is not going to be on nobody's radar. This is not no popular strip club. It's like a hole in the wall, basically. It's a low-budget strip club, okay? So I said, yeah, I know a spot. I told him where to go. We drive over there. So when we pull up, I'm telling him like, yo, and now in this strip club, man, you got to really, keep your hands to yourself. Now, if you want some extra favors from the girls, if the girl's feeling you, then, just, pay it, just read the room. You know what I'm saying? Just don't be putting your hands on her, okay? And he said, man, I ain't going to do that. I ain't going to do that, all right? I knew this was going to be a bad idea the moment we got to the door, because there's a cover charge at this strip club. You dig what I'm saying? So it was like $20. So he's pissed off because you have to get $20 to go in. And I'm going like, well, dude, that's pretty much the going rate in these hole-in-the-wall strip clubs. I said, now, if you want to go to an upscale strip club and you don't want to pay no cover charge, that's one thing. But once you get in there, you're going to have to buy something. And it's going to be way more than what we're going to have to pay here just for the cover charge. All right? So he gets frustrated. He went on and paid. And, we walk in. There's music, women dancing, smoke is in the air. I mean, the stench of funk is in the air. I'm going like, this should be perfect for him. He should not have any issues in this spot, okay? I wasn't really feeling the strip club, because, I'm not saying I don't like strip clubs, but my thing was that particular night, I didn't want to go to no strip club. I just wanted to go to a party, socialize with a bunch of people, and chill. Just lay back and chill. You dig what I'm saying? So he's happy. Long as he's happy, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? My brother's happy. They, looking at the girl. Girls are, filling them out. They're talking. They socializing and things of that nature. Okay, so I'm saying to myself, I'm sitting at the table. He's happy. My brother's happy. I found a spot that, everybody's cool. All right. So I will have to just hang in for a couple of hours. And then maybe, after they get a little tipsy, they probably want to go home. All right. So then my cousin started talking to one of the strippers. All right. So one of the strippers was telling him, because, if he wants that type of pleasure, that he will have to pay. So I feel like this, like a lot of strippers, they overprice their services because they think that there's a sucker born every minute. Okay, now she was fine as hell. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. She was fine as hell, but the from what I gathered, she marked her services up a little too high, and that pissed off my cousin from Macon. He said, "Man, like, she wants an arm and a leg just to do this, that, and the third, So he's kind of pissed off about it. All right, so he's upset. Now we went from happy to upset. Okay, I'm happy that we're here, but he's not happy. Okay, so now he gets upset and start making commotion. Now at the strip club, he knew what time it was at this strip club. You're not going to, be disrespectful at the strip club like you was at that other place. Now at that other place, you're surrounded by, people that know me, okay? And they ain't gonna go upside your head because they know me. Now over here at the strip club, they got bouncers, they got security guards, they got the whole 9 yards. So he didn't act a fool over there, but he wasn't happy. So he came up to me, he said, "Hey, yo, man, I ain't feeling this, okay?" So I said, "Cool." And I said, "Are you ready to leave?" He said, "Yeah, I'm ready to leave." Okay, so we all left the strip club. We wasn't even there that long, to be honest with you. So we got into the van. So then all of a sudden he starts to come with an attitude with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going like, wait a minute, where's this attitude coming from? Okay, so he's saying to me like, I came all the way down here to Macon for a good time, and all I've been getting is problem after problem. Okay, well, I mean, what was the purpose of even coming down here? I mean, why are you even here? Okay, so I'm telling my cousin from Macon, I'm like, "Hey, yo, man, you don't specialize, you don't tell me what you really, really want. I mean, what type of good time you want, because on the phone, you was telling me you wanted to hang out, you wanted to go to like a party somewhere, be around a bunch of females and things of that nature, okay? So if there's some more things you want, just tell me and I can point us in the right direction, okay?" So now he basically telling me he wants to get his freak on. He wants to get his freak on. He wants to party and, just lose himself, okay? So I'm saying, okay, cool. So basically, you just want to pay for some sex, all right? So basically, that's what I got from what he said, okay? Even though he was talking like he was specifying this, specifying that, I said, so you just want some sex. You just want to pay for some sex, right? He said, yeah. Okay, so I said, cool, no problem. You should have said that from the get-go, all right? So I said, I tell you what, there's a street called Joe Johnson. If you from Nashville, you know where Joe Johnson is, okay? There are 2 streets that is littered full of prostitutes, and that is Joe Johnson and Dickinson Road. Now, I didn't advocate for Dickinson Road because it's questionable over there. I don't know anybody from Dickinson Road. I've been back and forth to Dickinson Road, but I wouldn't recommend anybody to go on Dickinson Road because you might be looking for a good time, end up in the morgue or in the ICU. Okay, you dig what I'm saying? Dickinson Road is not a good place to be searching for a good time. Okay, so I said Joe Johnson. I know a lot of people in Joe Johnson. A lot of people know me from Joe Johnson. I'm kind of respectable over there, so I'm okay, cool. All right. So I say we can just go to Joe Johnson, man. I mean, all you got to do is just drive down the street. You see a baddie, you just pull up on the side, see if they're interested in dating, and because dating. See, when you pull up on a girl on the street and say, "Hey, you interested in dating?" You're basically saying you wanna pay for a good time. That's basically what you're saying, all right? And all the females know the codes there. Even the females that are not into that, they know the codes. Okay, so I said, yeah. So we'll just go to Joe Johnson, all right? We drive down Joe Johnson. Okay, we drove down there the first time. Really didn't see nobody. Okay. So then we pull out, we we try again. We drive down there again. Still didn't see nobody. Okay, so he's getting kind of frustrated. I said, okay, so won't you hang a left, go to the next street. He hangs a left, go to the next street. You know, there's like a couple of baddies on each side of the road. Okay, I say you pick which one you want. So he pulls over to the one he likes, and he said, "Hey, you dating?" And then she says, "How much?" So he gives her a price, and she's down with it. Now here's where it gets kind of effed up. Okay, so she's about to get in the van, but then she noticed that I'm there and my brother's there. All right, and then she gets spooked off. Okay, so I'm up here telling my cousin, I'm like, hey, yo, man, I don't think you're gonna realistically get anybody because there's 3 guys in this van, and it's like almost 4 in the morning. I think we're gonna spook them off. Okay, one, no one knows you from Adam. Okay, two, there's 3 men in this van. It just don't look right. It don't look right. All right. So he went to the other girl. The other girl was down with it, but here was the problem. The other girl was down with it, but then she said, my boyfriend is sitting on the porch and he's over here looking at me, and I don't think it's the right time to do it right now. Maybe some other time. All right. So now we go home empty-handed. So now he's unhappy. Apparently he's unhappy with me. All right. We go home. We struck out. We go home. I go upstairs. I'm taking a shower. Taking off. Taking a shower, getting ready to go to bed. My brother is downstairs in the smaller restroom. He's taking a shower, a bath, or whatever. I'm getting ready to put my bed clothes on. My brother, he has to end up going to work at 9 o'clock. So he was going to take a quick shower and go to bed and try to get whatever little rest he can get before he has to go to work at 9 in the morning. Okay, so I'm coming out. I'm saying, like, I'm going to go downstairs and get something to eat. All right, because I was off that whole night. I don't have to work the next day. So as I'm walking down the steps, I'm noticing my cousin, he was supposed to sleep on the couch. I noticed there's no one on the couch. So I immediately go upstairs to my brother. I'm like, hey, man, what happened to our cousin, man? Why, why he's not sleeping on the couch? And then he just told me, he said, well, he decided to try again on his own. Okay, which is not a good idea. In my opinion, it's not a good idea because you're not from here. You don't really know nobody here. Nobody don't really know you. You might find yourself looking for some fun, end up in some trouble, or worse, possibly the police pinch you and pick you up. Okay, so but I said he's a grown man. You can't stop a grown man doing whatever he wants to do. All right. So I went to bed. Woke up the next morning. It's like around 10 o'clock. My brother's already at work. He did. I'm walking downstairs. I see my cousin downstairs. All right. He was talking to my mom and stuff, and telling my mom that he had a good time last night. I showed him the area. He was very happy with me and things of that nature, which was totally different from what you said in the van like 4, 5, 6 hours ago. But I took it. All right. You're gonna give me some credit for something, I'll go ahead and take the credit. You dig what I'm saying? So he's talking to my mom. And my father is in the living room with a side eye just looking at him. And then he asked him again, like, yo, you leaving Sunday, right? Because this is, you just want to just hang out with us, and you going home, Sunday night. He said, yeah, I'm still going to do that, all right? So, he's talking to him, he's wrapping up, finishing talking to my mom. I, get up, I got my gear on. I'm going outside, seeing what's up with everybody in the hood. you know. So I'm getting ready to walk off the porch. Now, as I'm getting ready to walk off the porch, my cousin stops me. He said, "Hey, yo, Chris, come here for a minute. Come here for a minute. Let me walk with you. All right." So I'm walking with him. He said, "Man, uh, when y'all went to bed, I went back out on the streets again, and man, I had the best time of my life. Okay, I didn't ask for no details. I didn't say nothing. I just said, hey, yo, if you like it, I love it. If you had a good time, cool. All right." And then I said, so do you want to hang out? Uh, Maybe I can, you know, cook something up for tonight, and we can probably get into something tonight together. He said, no, I already got that planned and worked out. All right. I said, cool. All right. So Saturday night comes rolling around. My cousin is nowhere to be found. I'm not even feeling it. I'm not even worried about it. Okay. So Saturday, I do my normal thing. I go hang out with my friends. We drive around a bit. If we can get into something like going to a party or to a club, whatever. But this was a laid back Saturday. We were just hanging out, talking, laughing, and things of that nature. Okay, so I ended Saturday night on a good note. I said, hey man, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna wrap this up because I gotta go to work the next day. All right, so I'm heading home. Right, I don't see the van, so I'm assuming that my cousin is he's somewhere with doing something. All right. I walk in the house. My mom said, "Hey, is your cousin is cuz with you?" I said, "No." He said he had his own plan, so he didn't include me in them. And she said, "Oh, okay, cool." So I go upstairs. I'm going to bed a little bit early because I gotta go to work next day. Come back next day, wake up in the morning, getting ready to go to work. Now, as I'm getting ready to go to work, that's when my cousin just now coming in the house. All right. So he was going to tell me what he did that night. But unfortunately, I had to go to work. I said, hey, man, as long as you had a good time, that's what's important. He said, yeah, man. But he was telling me real fast. He said, man, I got into a lot of stuff last night, man. I was at this bar. I gambled a little bit. I got into some stuff. I'm going like, okay, cool. I said, hey, look, if you like it, I love it. You dig what I'm saying? So I immediately leave exit stage left, go home. Leave out the house, go to work. I go to work my 8 hours, come back, all right? And then I get home, van's gone. I'm going like, okay, well, he must started on his adventure a little early. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm walking into the house. I'm asking mom, saying, what cuz at? What cuz at? She said, he's out again. He said, it's gonna be another long night. So I'm going like, my mom was never a party person. You dig what I'm saying? She was an at-home type body. All right. So I'm thinking, hold up. Now you was out Friday night with me, and then when you left Friday night, when we struck out, you still went out on your own. Okay. Saturday night, you out on your own again. Okay. And I'm going like, man, that's like, that's kind of odd to me. I'm scratching my head and shit. So I said, whatever. He's a grown man, so he can do whatever he wants to do. Whatever he wants to do. All right. So Sunday comes. Sunday was supposed to be his last day, and he was going to drive back to Macon. Okay. So I'm saying like, hey man, I'm telling my cousin, I said, man, you had a good time here in Nashville. He said, yeah, I certainly did. I said, man, you pretty much went out on back-to-back nights, so it had to been good. He said, yeah, it was extremely good. I said, so I said, it's Sunday, you might as well just chill and get ready to drive back to Macon. So he told me, he said, no, I told your mom that I was going to spend some additional days, because I'm having a good time here. I'm like, really? He said, yeah, I'm enjoying myself here, okay? I told your mom I'll probably stay, a couple of days, and then I may go home to Macon either Wednesday or the weekend. I'm like, okay, cool, okay? So I'm like, okay, cool. So as I'm walking upstairs, I pass my mom and my father's room, and then my father called me into the room, told me to shut the door. So I went in there, shut the door. He said, what did your cousin say about going home Sunday? I said, well, apparently he done talked to mom and told mom that he's going to stay over for a few more days because he's having a lot of fun over here. So my father started shaking his head. He said, I wish he'd just gone and go home because, he heard a lot of things on the street. See, when you're in the hood, whatever you doing in the hood, people are going to know about it. People going to know about it, and then they're going to go tell other people. And those other people are going to tell, if you got like a relationship with those other people, they're going to come tell you. So apparently, my dad was hearing a lot of crazy things about my cousin. Talking about he's very abused. He's very verbal. He talked because he said that he was at a dice game. He lost a lot of money at the dice game. Okay, but everyone in the hood knew us. A lot of people knew us. So they said that they gave him credit, to see if he could win his money back. So he didn't even win his money back. He even lost even deeper. Plus, my father told me that he was on that stuff. Okay, but my dad said he was probably a dope head before he even got here. All right. So I'm scratching my head. I'm like, man, I didn't know none of this about my cousin. So I put in a phone call to my other cousins, my other family in Macon, and I was asking them about him. Like, hey, what's going on with him? And I didn't want to tell them everything what he was doing down here, but I'm going like, yeah, man, he's kind of acting weird, and I don't know if you know this or not, but he be doing stuff down here. And then my cousin said, well, he was doing stuff down here. That was the whole purpose of him originally, going to Nashville, because they wanted him to, get away from the drugs, because he's addicted to drugs. So I'm saying to myself, okay, look, and I was telling my cousin from Macon on the phone this. I'm like, if you have a drug problem, okay, you just can't just pack up and go somewhere for a few days thinking that the drug problem is just going to go away. So if you got a drug problem, if you got a drug problem, when you go to wherever you're going to, and you get that itch, you get that feeling, you're gonna find a drug dealer at the new location. And you're still gonna have that drug problem. So I'm basically telling them. So for him to leave Macon to come here to get away from his drugs, that's not going to help. Okay, that's not helping him. You know what I'm saying? He needs to go to a treatment center. He needs to, whatever. Okay, if he wants to kick the habit. All right. So get off the phone. My father already done told my mom. Okay, I don't feel like it was my place to tell my mom. But if my father wasn't going to tell her, then I had no choice but to tell her. All right, but he went on and told her anyway. Okay, so basically, hold up, let me check these messages. I'm sorry, guys. Well, okay, I done responded to that message. Okay, so my mom know. Now she's getting kind of worried about it. My dad was asking my brother, "Have you seen him?" He even asked me, and I said, "Last time I seen him, he was, he said somebody was going to hang out somewhere." So, like in the hood, if you want to know, if you want to find somebody, if you want to find your loved ones, if you want to find your whatever, all you got to do is just leave your house, leave your porch, just walk a few feet, and just ask somebody, okay? Because somebody know where you are. You dig what I'm saying? So after, my dad started talking to the people in the neighborhood, we found out where my cousin was, all right? So we all drove, and he was in this, he was in this gambling spot, with dice and stuff. So as we pull up, we walk over there. We see cousin. He's he's playing dice, shaking them up, and looked like it wasn't a good day for him. Okay, so my dad yells out to him, yo, cuz, come over here for a minute. I want to talk to you. So everybody stops rolling dice. And he goes over there to talk to my dad. I don't know what my dad said to him, because my dad told me, "Hey, can you just give us a moment?" So my dad was just talking to him. All right. So I walk over there to somebody that was, with the dice activity, and I was asking him. I said, "So, I mean, how he was doing?" They said, "Man, he's trying to, win back." Win back a loss that he done lost two hours ago, and he's just digging himself in a deeper hole, So they're trying to tell, they say, like, they'll basically tell him, like, "Yo, man, you're not going to get out of this hole anytime soon." They were trying to tell him to stop, but he wanted to keep going. All right, but it's like this: you grown, so. If somebody wants to keep rolling the dice, you just let them roll the dice. Ain't nobody gonna stop you from self-destruction. If you want to roll the dice, ain't nobody gonna take the dice out of your hand and say, "No, we're not playing with you no more." Okay? They're gonna keep letting you do it because you're gonna dig yourself into a deeper hole. Okay? So my dad's talking to him and saying this, that, and the third, and then next thing I know, I hear him say, "See, that's why you shouldn't have came over here. You shouldn't have came to Nashville anyway, okay? Because of this, that, and the third, okay?" So my dad, after my cousin talked to my dad, he walks back to the dice game. Okay, cool. So we all drive back. There's nothing we can do from this point, all right? So that night's over with. Here we are, Monday. Monday is the same usual day, but then I started noticing about my cousin. He's shaking a little bit, keeps looking through the drapes and looking through the peepholes and stuff like that. "Yo, what's going on with you?" He says, "Oh, it's nothing." Like he's worried and he's looking for somebody. You dig what I'm saying? I said, "Okay, cool." So I go to work. I go to work. I come back from work. My dad's telling me that my cousin owes a lot of money. Not only owes money on the dice side of things, but people been giving him credit on dope. Okay, because he was, just buying it. And he got into a point where he didn't have no money, so they gave it to him on credit. Now, here's where it gets kind of bad, okay? Apparently, this man, when he came here, he had 5 racks in his pocket, okay? So that's why he was so flamboyant. He wanted to go party and this, that, and the third. He wanted to spend that money. So he done spent money on coochie. He done lost money on coochie. He done lost money on dice games. He's been buying his own supply. He's losing money on that. Now he's, you know, uh, now he's getting it on credit because these dope dealers, you know, when you come in and you show them that you got money, you can pay for your own stuff, they're gonna continue to let you pay your own stuff. But when you don't have no money, they're thinking in their mind, well, you know, you had 5 stacks, so I'm gonna give you a couple of these bumps on credit because I know you're gonna pay it back. Okay? Because if you can have 5 bands now, you can probably get 5 more bands, or you know, you can get some extra money. All right. So I was telling my cousin, I said, "Yo, man, the one thing you don't want to do here is owe somebody money. You don't want to owe the gamblers any money. You don't want to owe the drug dealers no money. You just don't want to owe nobody no money because I'm gonna tell you something. Playing with people's money is like playing with their emotion. You dig what I'm saying? So the rule of thumb is if you can't pay it back, then don't even take it. All right. But that was a vice that was too late because he have already done went past that point. You know, he's getting credit all over. He's promising these people that he's going to pay it back, and he's not, you know, paying it back. Okay, so I'm telling him I think it'd just be best for you to just sleep it out for tonight, and you might want to just go ahead and go back to Macon because obviously you don't have the money. My dad wasn't going to give him any money. He had to fend for himself. Okay, so I was saying, man, you might want to lay low. He said, man, you know, he said, yo, cuz that might be a good idea. So, you know, he stayed in that night and laid low. Everything was all good until my dad got home, and then I can hear my dad talking to him downstairs, like he's going like, hey, yo, it's not safe for you to be over here. You owe Tom, Dick, and him. You owe everybody all over town money. People are looking for you, and I ain't gonna have nobody like you shooting up our house, okay? Because we didn't tell you to go out there and do this, that, and the third, okay? So if you ain't got the money, you need to go on and leave now, okay? So they arguing back and forth, okay? So eventually, my cousin, he just got his stuff. He said, you know what? F that. I'll just go. Okay, so I'm assuming he's driving back to Franklin. Okay, so I kind of felt bad how it ended, but I felt like that would be the best thing for him to go back home. Because if you owe all these people all this type of money, I just think the best thing you should do is go home. You dig what I'm saying? So, he's packing up his stuff, saying bye to mom, saying bye to me and my brother, saying he had a good time. You know, he ain't saying nothing to my dad because, you know, first of all, him and my dad, they wasn't getting along anyway. Okay, that was even before all this other ish hit the ground. So he drives off. All right, so I'm thinking he's driving back to Macon. I go upstairs, and I can still remember it to this day. It was the summer. It was hot. It was so hot. I had my window up, because late at night, you get a cool breeze in your room. I'm up there sleeping. I'm chilling. I'm watching television. Then after I started watching television, I went to bed. I turned the light off, went to bed. Dig what I'm saying? So I'm in there asleep. I'm knocked out. Okay? And let me tell you something. When you sleep in the hood with the window up, it's noisy at night. But when you're used to those noises, it don't bother you or affect you. Like, the night creatures, when they making noise, it don't bother you. When the ambulance drives by, it doesn't bother you. When the police calls with their sirens on, it doesn't bother you. When you hear gunshots, it don't bother you, okay? Even commotion, it don't necessarily bother you. The only thing that will wake me up is when someone calls out my name. It could be all types of noises going on. I will still be knocked out. But the moment someone calls my name, I instantly wake up. Okay? So I'm in there sleeping. I hear somebody in the distance going, Chris, Chris. So I wake up. The window's already rolled up. It was my cousin. He was telling me, he was going, Chris, help me, help me. And I can hear a bunch of commotion. I can hear a fight right up underneath my window. Okay? So I didn't peek my head all the way through the window, because if I would have peeked my head all the way through the window, he would have saw me and started yelling my name even more. So I barely eased my head through there to get my eyeball, and I'm seeing my cousin, man, the drug dealers, they up there beating his ass. Okay, they beating his ass on next to the porch. All right. And they just beating his ass, and all he can keep going, Chris, open the door, open the door, open the door. Now, I had a choice to make, so I immediately went back to my bed. I had a choice to make. Either I get involved by opening the door, and now the drug dealer's gonna have a problem with me. If I call the police, the drug dealer's gonna have a problem with me and everybody in my family, because this is really none of our business, okay? So either I get involved or I go back to bed. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, fam. I went right back to bed. I went right back to bed and went right back to sleep, okay? So next day goes by, all right? I'm going downstairs for breakfast, and my dad's reading the newspaper. And my mom, already done fixed breakfast, and she's, telling me the story that, our cousin was trying to get in the house, and he was screaming for dear life because somebody was beating him up, and he was screaming for dear life, and nobody didn't go downstairs to open the door. And, she said, I would have opened the door if I knew. You dig what I'm saying? So, I was telling my mom, my mom was asking me, said, so you didn't hear nothing, Chris? So I played it off. I'm like, no, I didn't hear nothing. I didn't hear nothing at all, okay? And my mom just she says a few things, and she goes upstairs. So my father walks up to me and go, and you better not open the door, because that ain't none of our business. He the one invited trouble, so he found trouble, okay? So that's on him. He's got to deal with those consequences and repercussions, okay? If they wouldn't have found him, they would have took their frustrations out on us. Ain't no telling what they would have done to us. We could have been getting beat on or getting shot or whatever, okay? All because of what he wanted to do. So, my cousin, after he got beat up, he looked tore up from the floor. He had a black eye. He was hobbling. He looked bad. He looked real bad. Okay, so he ended up driving back to Macon. So I heard some more information concerning my cousin in Macon. Okay, so apparently this ain't the first time my cousin had done this. All right. So the real reason why he came to Nashville, because he was dodging the people that he owed money in Macon. That's why he drove all the way up here in the first place. Not to have a good time or see how we was doing or say hi to my mom, because he's on my mom's side and things of that nature. He was running away from his responsibilities in Macon. So apparently he owed some people some money down there. So from what I hear and from what I gather, he drove down to Macon, and when the people that he owed the money caught up with them, They beat him up bad. They beat him up so bad he had to go to the hospital. Now, from what I gathered from one of my cousins in Macon, when he came out of the hospital, he started going to church. He found God, and he's not on that stuff. Now, I get the sneaking suspicion he's still on that stuff. He's still on that stuff, but he's a functional junkie. You dig what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's pretty much story time in the books. I hope you like story time. As always, rate, comment, subscribe. Share this with a friend, family, as well as a follower. Let's get this YouTube channel lit in the YouTube algorithm. Hope y'all guys like this. I'm going to try to do another story time later on tonight, or maybe tomorrow night. I don't know. I got a lot of stories to tell you guys, so I'm gone. Deuces.